firmly entrenched itself inside her soul 3 days ago, amplified until it erupted from her mouth in a heaving sob. "Goodbye, my sweethearts," she whispered, succumbing to the bitter knowledge that all her tomorrows would be without Michael or Matthew. Rain battered the earth, but not her body as the umbrella remained, hovering over her head like a dark halo. She rocked back and forth, her arms clutching her stomach, and prayer poured from her mouth. Prayer to be taken with them. Her body leaned forward and she heaved, moaning like an old ship before it surrendered to the storm, before it broke under the pressure. But strong arms encircled her, saving her, lifting her up and away from the open earth. And she wept with the knowledge that she would see tomorrow. Chapter 1. 5 years later. Julia took a deep breath, shutting off her ignition and headlights as she stared at the red brick Georgian home. Her mother-in-law had loved the Georgian architecture that she had grown up with from her childhood back east, and they'd had the home custom-built years ago. Even though it wasn't typical in their rural area of Montana, the home was lovely. It hadn't changed at all. Stately, with black shutters and double-hung windows and a matching black door, the house beckoned. A large round boxwood wreath with a red ribbon adorned the front door. The front hall light glowed through the arched transom window, and Julia could still picture the delicate crystal chandelier inside. Towering ponderosa pines flanked the driveway, the tips of the branches almost forming an arch. Snow lined each limb, as though they had been meticulously painted on one by one. 5 years. It had been 5 years since she had visited her in-laws. She owed them a visit much earlier. She closed her eyes and leaned her head back. She should have come when her father-in-law had been diagnosed with prostate cancer, but she hadn't. By that time, she'd uncovered the disturbing truth about Michael, and she couldn't deal with coming back here and facing all of them. But Shadow Creek had also been her home, and these people were her family. She opened her eyes again and gave a little nod. Well, she was here now for Christmas. She wrapped her hands around the leather handle of her small tote and clutched her purse. The crisp, cold winter air greeted her as she stepped outside her car, cooling her flushed face. It smelled the same, fresh, pure. There was nowhere in the world that smelled like Montana. The driveway and walkway had been shoveled and salted, and her boots crunched against the large granules. Warmth spread through her body as the front door opened, even before she'd made it to the front porch. She clamped down hard on her back teeth in an attempt to rein in the tears as Cassandra and Edward appeared.
"My dear, you are here!"
Cassandra Bailey called out, the break in her voice audible. She dashed up the walkway and steps, outrunning the memories of all the times she'd been here with Michael and Matthew. She ran into the arms of the people that had treated her like their own from day one. Comfort, the kind that could only be offered from a mother, enveloped her. She held on, squeezing Cassandra, restoring the bond they'd had between them. Edward folded her into his arms, and he kissed the top of her head gently before releasing her. She had come home. Edward Bailey gently ushered her through the doorway. "Come in, come in." Julia noticed the lines around their eyes had deepened, and creases that weren't there years ago had claimed their residence. Edward was still tall, with a slightly rounded stomach, and maintained his aura of dignity. Cassandra, always thin, had now put on weight, making her seem even more maternal. They each held on to one of her hands, and she looked around the entryway. The deep